December 19, 1944, Verdun, France, late afternoon. The room is cold despite the coal fire burning on the wall. Breath hangs faintly in the air. Maps cover the tables, creased, stabbed with pins, smeared with pencil lines that no longer make sense. Outside, the Ardennes are collapsing under snow and steel. Inside, the Allied High Command is running out of time. General Dwight D. Eisenhower stands at the head of the table, shoulders tight, eyes rimmed with exhaustion. For 4 days, German armor has smashed through the American lines. The Bulge is no abstraction now. It is real, it is widening, and at its center sits Bastogne, encircled, cut off, holding with fewer than 20,000 men against multiple German divisions. Every man in the room knows the numbers. They have all done the calculations. Roads are iced solid. Snow is choking the forests. German units are moving faster than expected. Supply lines severed. Air support grounded by weather. To relieve Bastogne from the south would require a maneuver no modern army has ever executed under fire, a 90-degree pivot of an entire field army in winter against a moving enemy. Eisenhower turns toward George S. Patton. Patton is standing, not seated, polished helmet under his arm, face unreadable. He has been waiting for this moment longer than anyone realizes. Eisenhower does not waste words. There is no drama in his voice, only strain. How fast can you turn? The question lands heavily. Around the table, other generals look down. Some already know the answer they expect. Days, a week, maybe more. Anything else would be fantasy. Patton does not look at the maps. He does not ask for clarification. He does not pause to calculate. Because he has already decided. What he says next will shock the room, not because it is bold, but because it leaves no room for doubt, no room for negotiation, no room for retreat.
This is not confidence. It is inevitable. The room does not react at first. It absorbs the words slowly, like a body registering pain. George S. Patton says he can attack in 48 hours. Do not move. Not prepared. Attack. Across the table, several officers exchange glances. One quietly exhales. Another shakes his head. 48 hours is not aggressive. It is impossible. An entire army, nearly 250,000 men, would have to disengage from its current front, reverse direction, reroute supplies, reorient artillery, and strike north through frozen roads already clogged with refugees and wreckage. In winter, against a German offensive that has achieved surprise. Patton's Third Army is facing east, prepared for operations in the Saar. To turn north is to expose flanks, abandon planned offensives, and gamble everything on speed. If he fails, the Germans will not merely hold Bastogne, they will split the Allied front in two. Dwight D. Eisenhower studies Patton's face. He knows bravado when he hears it. He also knows preparation. And something about Patton's tone is different. There is no flourish, no theatrical pause, just a statement of fact. How long, Eisenhower asks carefully, before you can attack? Patton does not change his expression. 48 hours. The confidence unsettles the room. This is not how war is spoken about among professionals. War is friction, delay, compromise. Yet Patton speaks as if time itself is a subordinate. What no one else in the room knows, what Patton has not yet said, is that he has already issued the orders. Weeks earlier, sensing the German buildup, he instructed his staff to draft contingency plans for a sudden northern pivot. 3 versions, then a 4th, routes mapped, timetables rehearsed, division commanders briefed without explanation, ammunition dumps quietly repositioned. When the German attack began on December 16th, Patton did not wait for confirmation. He accelerated.
Now, in this room at Verdun, he is not proposing a plan, he is revealing one. General Omar Bradley looks unconvinced. Others are openly skeptical. They have fought alongside Patton. They know his brilliance and his recklessness. His armies move fast, sometimes too fast. They break through. They also overextend. And Bastogne is not just another objective. It is symbolic. The road hub at the center of the Ardennes. Lose it, and the German timetable recovers. Hold it, and the offensive bleeds itself out. The men trapped there, paratroopers of the 101st Airborne, are already rationing ammunition. Casualties are mounting. Medical supplies are nearly gone. German artillery tightens the ring each hour. There is no margin for delay. Eisenhower understands what this means. If he accepts Patton's promise, he is staking the entire Allied response on one man's preparation and one army's speed. If Patton fails, there will be no second chance. This is the moment when the command stops being collaborative. This is where authority becomes singular. Eisenhower makes his decision. The order is given without ceremony. Patton is authorized to turn north. In that instant, the Allied plan for the winter of 1944 ceases to exist. Months of careful sequencing, logistics, rotations, political promises to London and Washington are erased by a single decision. Eisenhower does not ask for guarantees. He knows none exist. He gives Patton the only thing that matters: time.
Patton leaves the room immediately. There is no celebration, no acknowledgement of the gamble just taken. Outside, staff officers are already waiting. Orders are transmitted down the chain with brutal clarity. The Third Army is to disengage from its current operations and pivot 90 degrees. Movement begins at once. No delays, no excuses. The scale is staggering. 3 corps, 10 divisions, thousands of vehicles. Columns stretching for miles must turn on frozen roads slick with ice in blackout conditions under constant threat of German air and artillery. Tanks skid into ditches, trucks freeze solid overnight, engines refuse to start, men sleep in foxholes at sub-zero temperatures, boots stiff with ice. Yet the army moves. This is not speed born of chaos. It is speed born of discipline. Patton's staff executes the rehearsed plans with near mechanical precision. Units that should be lost in confusion arrive on schedule. Artillery is repositioned, fuel depots shift north, traffic control points operate day and night, military police directing convoys with flashlights through snowstorms. Word spreads quickly. Some commanders are astonished, others resentful, a few quietly terrified. Omar Bradley remains skeptical. He knows Patton's strengths and his flaws better than most. In private, he questions whether this is brilliance or madness, but he also understands the alternative. Doing nothing guarantees failure. Inside Bastogne, the situation worsens by the hour. German infantry probe the perimeter relentlessly. Artillery pounds the town. Wounded men lie in unheated buildings. Surgeons operate without anesthesia. The weather grounds Allied aircraft, sealing the garrison's isolation. German commanders are confident. Intercepted communications revealed their expectation that Bastogne will fall within days. They do not believe a large-scale counterattack is possible in this weather. They believe the Americans are disorganized, reactive, and exhausted. They are wrong. On December 21st, forward elements of Patton's army make first contact with German screening forces. The encounter is violent and brief. German units, expecting only limited resistance, find themselves engaged by full-strength American formations arriving ahead of schedule.
Still, the distance to Bastogne remains deadly. Each mile is contested. Each road junction is mined, shelled, and defended. Progress is measured in yards. Casualties rise. Patton presses harder. He does not ask for reports of losses. He asks only one question, repeatedly. How far today? The answer is never far enough. By December 23rd, the weather breaks, skies clear. Allied aircraft roar overhead, dropping supplies into Bastogne at last. Morale inside the perimeter surges. German optimism falters. The relief column is coming. Everyone knows it now. But coming is not enough. It must arrive in time. December 26, 1944, late afternoon, near the village of Eisenhower. The lead elements of the Third Army advance through a corridor of shattered trees and burned-out armor. Snow lies churned and blackened by oil and blood. The German defenses here are no longer confident, but they are still lethal. Anti-tank guns fire at point-blank range. Panzerfausts flash from hedgerows. Infantry fight to the last because retreat has already become impossible. This is the final approach. Patton's gamble has compressed time to its breaking point. Every hour gained earlier is now being spent in full. There is no reserve left to commit, no alternative access, no second force moving in parallel. If this thrust stalls, Bastogne will not be relieved, it will be buried. The commanders at the front understand the stakes instinctively. Orders are no longer phrased carefully, they are issued as imperatives. Push, break through, keep moving north. Shortly after dusk, American armor punches through the last organized German resistance south of Bastogne. A narrow road opens, muddy, cratered, barely passable, but it is open. Tanks and half-tracks surge forward, headlights still dark, crews navigating by memory and instinct.
Inside Bastogne, the sound reaches the perimeter before the site. A low, unmistakable engine roar, then tracer fire from the south, then the silhouettes of American vehicles emerged through the trees. The encirclement is broken. It is not a grand moment. There is no sweeping charge, no cheering crowds. The first contact is a handshake between exhausted men in filthy uniforms, faces hollowed by cold and hunger. A single tank commander radios back 4 words: "Contact made with Bastogne." The decision Eisenhower authorized 7 days earlier has reached its irreversible conclusion. Patton has delivered exactly what he promised, not a miracle, but a consequence. The cost is severe, thousands of casualties, equipment losses that will take months to replace, units stretched to the edge of collapse. But Bastogne holds. The German timetable is shattered. Their offensive, built on speed and surprise, now bleeds against an immovable front. Patton does not linger on the moment. Within hours, he's already issuing orders for continued attacks. The Bulge must be crushed, not merely contained. Momentum, once seized, cannot be surrendered. Yet even he understands what has happened here. This was not simply a tactical success, it was a validation of authority under pressure, a moment when preparation met opportunity, and hesitation would have meant disaster. There was no alternative that would have produced a better outcome. Only one choice existed, and it has been made. The relief of Bastogne does not end the Battle of the Bulge. It changes its direction. Within days, the German offensive loses its momentum. Fuel runs short. Units meant to exploit breakthroughs are forced onto the defensive. What was intended as a decisive blow becomes a grinding withdrawal under constant Allied pressure. The initiative, once seized with daring, bleeds away mile by mile. Inside the Allied command, the consequences of Eisenhower's decision are fully understood. He did not merely approve a maneuver, he entrusted the survival of the front to one man's judgment and one army's preparation. Had Patton failed, the responsibility would have been absolute and shared by no one else. Patton, for his part, does not claim vindication. In private correspondence, he frames the apparition not as brilliance, but as an obligation. He writes that when opportunity appears, it must be taken at once, because hesitation in war is itself a decision, and usually the wrong one. His words are not philosophical, they are coldly practical. The power dynamics among the Allied generals shift permanently. Patton is no longer simply the aggressive subordinate, he is the commander who delivered when the arithmetic said it could not be done. His influence grows. So does the caution with which others measure him. Success at this scale does not erase fear, it deepens it. For Eisenhower, the moment hardens his command style. Consensus remains important, but he now understands something essential. In crisis, unity follows decision, not debate. Authority, once exercised, reshapes the entire structure beneath it. Bastogne becomes a legend, not for its streets or buildings, but for what it represents. A surrounded force that did not break, a relief that arrived against every expectation, a reminder that wars are not decided solely by resources or numbers, but by choices made under pressure, choices that cannot be undone. The question Eisenhower asked on December 19, 1944, was simple: how fast can you turn? The answer changed the course of the Winter War in Europe. It demonstrated that preparation is invisible until the moment it matters, that confidence, when earned, sounds indistinguishable from certainty, and that in the most dangerous moments of history, the future can hinge on a reply measured not in days, but in hours. This was not the end of the war, but it was the end of doubt.